It was a time of great change, demanding great responsibility from everyone, Gorbachev told the Interfax news agency. The result was the end of the Cold War and the nuclear arms race. So that's something that they were definitely praising him for. And Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan lauded him for leading the nation with decency and integrity, while even Democratic House Leader Nancy Pelosi said it was a privilege to work with him. So it sounds like folks were definitely giving him praise across the aisles, and not just on one side of the political spectrum, but even overseas people were giving him praise as well, because German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who was raised in East Germany, told reporters she likely would never have become the country's leader had Bush not pressed for the nation's reunification in 1990. And says he was a humble hero of World War II, and Bush was just 20 when he survived being shot down during a bombing run over Japan. He had enlisted in the U.S. Navy on his 18th birthday, and shortly before leaving the service, he married his 19-year-old sweetheart, Barbara Pierce, a union that lasted until her death earlier this year.
Wow.
So apparently they've been together for, it says that they've been together for 73 years. They had a 73-year marriage. Now, that's a long time. And, you know, some folks trying to get just past a year or two, or definitely do those 5 and 10 years. But it sounds like they were able to stay together and have that bond for 73 years.
Ooh. Man, I just hope that I can say the same thing. You know what I mean? That'll be another 55 years. Wow.
So you need another 55 years, and that would be, and how old would you be then, Dean?
And I will be 100 years old then.
So if you make it to the century mark, then you would have been with your wife for 73 years.
73 years, yep. When I get to 102, it'll be 75.
So we are rooting for you to have the to have the centennial, as well as to celebrate that milestone marriage year. So we are definitely going to be rooting for you to pull that off.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Like I said, some folks are hard pressed to get past a year or two. So if you make it to 73, and I'm sure you got some friends of yours that we're lucky that they made it past a week, maybe even 6 months, or maybe even a day.
It might be a couple of people I know like that, bro. I'm not gonna put them out there, but you know, they know who they are.
Because I personally don't know anybody like that, but somewhere out there is somebody that was literally only married for like 24 hours.
Man, that's got to be rough. That's got to be real rough.
Yeah, I don't even know how you would do that. Legally, I don't know how you could do that, but I'm sure that if we did enough research, we could find somebody out there that literally was just married for 24 hours or maybe 48 at the max.
Yeah, that sucks. That's horrible right there.
That would be the worst case.
I'm just thankful it's not me, bro. Thank goodness.
So you're glad it's not you. You don't know who it is, but you're glad it's not you.
Right. I'm just so thankful it is not me. And I do not have to go through that type of headache, heartache, drama, whatever you want to call it. I'm just glad it's not this system over here. You know what I mean?
And what do you think about this whole concept of apparently the U.S. and China are going to put brakes on their trade dispute? So apparently we've been in a trade dispute, and they have reached a 90-day ceasefire in a trade dispute that has rattled financial markets and threatened world economic growth. So apparently they had a meeting, the Chinese leader, and that person that sits in the White House, and they have agreed that they're not going to do some stuff that they were going to do originally, because it says that he's agreed to hold off on plans to raise tariffs January 1st on the $200 billion in China goods. Like, you really going to do a tariff on that much goods out of China?
You know what? There's a lot of stuff that comes out of China, man, and it's in the United States, they might want to rethink all of those, things done out of emotion. We talked about that this past Thursday on the other radio show that I'm on. Let's talk about it. WBKS1 Radio out of Plainfield, New Jersey. And we were talking about how people react or act off of emotion and how detrimental that could be when you're talking about things that not only affect just one person, it affects a lot of us, and it's sad that decisions are made and it's like, yeah, we got you. You got to do what we want you to do now. But in the long run, the majority are in situations, and it's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. And then, like I said, we got people make agreements that are already going on that they don't need to be trying to break. Had folks tried to break up NAFTA. So that was something else that was going on is apparently recently certain people announced their intentions to withdraw the United States from the North American Free Trade Agreement, a move intended to force House Democrats to enact a revised version of the pact despite concerns that it fails to protect American workers. So, that sounds like a little bit of more trickery going on to try to, force them to put together another deal that folks may not be too pleased with. So sounds like even more trickery is going on from folks that are very good at trickery.
First at it. And they do very well doing as little as possible, and they cry and complain, and it's just surely sad.
It's just crazy. It says that if no deal can be reached, both versions of the treaty would be void, which would result in far more restrictive trade that could have a severe impact on industry and agriculture in all three nations. So, we've been having this trade agreement that apparently has helped quite a few folks, whether it's Canada, Mexico, or us, but now we're going to have stuff that might hurt all three countries. And so, why we're going to do something that could be devastational to everybody involved makes no sense to me. It seems to me that we should be working with these countries that we've been working with on a regular basis and continue to find ways that we can make things more progressive for all three involved.
Right.
But I do like Nancy Pelosi's remark. Nancy Pelosi, the House Democratic leader who is likely to be elected Speaker, it sounds like that's pretty much a done deal, cast doubt on the likelihood that the deal could be passed without significant new assurances from Mexico that labor standards in the agreement will be strictly enforced. Pelosi described the deal Friday as a work in progress her members could not yet support. What isn't in it yet is enough enforcement reassurances regarding workers, provisions that relate to workers and to the environment. There is no language in NAFTA's authorizing law that requires congressional approval for withdrawal from the treaty. But, even some of his own people believe that that's just like a bluff on his part. So hopefully this is just nothing but a big bluff, and we will still find ways that we can do trade agreements with both the country to the south of us as well as the country to the north of us.
Right. And we got to be able to we don't make all of the stuff here. So I don't know what they're thinking. I don't even know if they're thinking at all.
They may not be thinking.
Yeah, it's
I don't think it's totally pitiful that they are not thinking in the least bit. So we got to figure out why they're not thinking and how to get them to actually be thinking on a more regular basis.
Heck yeah, man! Because it's. I'll shut up, man. Wow.
I do not get it.
You want to cuss, man?
Yeah, don't cut them out.
No, I'm not. But it makes you want to because you look at all the stuff that's happening, and it's like, oh man, horrible. This is horrible.
And then we're here in Durham, we're still fighting, trying to get the gentleman that was tricked into being deported back after he had been staying in a church that was basically a sanctuary church. So they tricked him into going into the town of Morrisville. They then grabbed him and then deported him back. And there's a lot of folks here that are still trying to find ways to get him back and to be involved in trying to make sure that he can actually spend time with his family and be reunited with his family. So that was just some underhanded trickery that they pulled off in that move as well. So we've got to find ways to actually support the gentleman that was deported back to Mexico, and his family is definitely trying to do what they can. Citywell Church, which is the church that he was staying at, it definitely has their members and members of their congregation actively trying to find ways to help him reunite with his family.
So they suckered him, and then, oh wow, that's the kind of stuff that makes you angry at how people are being done on a regular basis, man. It's not even, it's not here and there every once in a while. It just seems like it's just going on all kinds of ways, backward and forward and all of the other simple stuff.
And it's been going on for a while. It's not like it's new stuff. This is stuff that's been happening for a long time, and the names of the players may have changed, but the kind of tactics have been going on for a long time. I mean, in some ways, what's going on with our Latin brothers, is it that much different than some of the tricks that they pulled on the slaves when they would escape, or when they would have the support of the Underground Railroad? It sounds to me that even though we're in the 21st century, that a lot of the things are very similar, even though we're like hundreds of years removed from when that happened. But if you study history and you study what was going on then, and you see what's happening now, there seems to be some very serious parallels.
Right. Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
It's just totally crazy. But if you look at it, that's what's going on. Now, I do have to give one other thing that's not news-related a shout-out. As you can tell, I'm fighting a cold, and I've been fighting that for a few days and everything. But we have, one of the schools that I talk about is my alma mater. And I know you talk about yours, but I talk about mine too. That being Marquette University. Marquette knocked off a top 20 school, and Marcus Howard, our star guard, scored like 45 points. This despite the fact that it seems like he either had a very severe cold or the flu the day that he did this. So it seems that both he, the coach, Coach Wojo, as well as one of the other players were all sick, but they managed to knock off, I believe they were the number 11 team at the time, Kansas State. So I'm thinking that we might have to come up with this new policy that somebody on the team has to be sick like every game.
Wow.
Really have a good record and everything. No, I would not go that far, but definitely he just did an amazing job of scoring some amazing points, despite the fact that, like I said, he had been under the weather. It sounds like for several days he's been fighting some sort of bug or another. So just that is look, I'm sick, and I'm just gonna be in his own today. No matter what y'all think, I'm just gonna use this as an advantage of mine in order to have a amazing thing. Let's give him a big shout out to pull that off.
Breaking up a little bit, bruh.
I said we've got to give him a major shout-out for doing that, despite the fact that he was sick at the time. So it just needs to give major shout-outs for pulling that win off, despite the fact that he was not all that well at the time that he pulled that off. So we definitely need to give him big shout-outs for that and being able to do that with being a sick person at that particular time that he was able to win that game. So we'll see how that plays out for the rest of the season, because, like I said, it might have just been one lucky game, but I definitely want to give Marcus Howard a big shout-out for doing that amazing game and being able to pull that off.
Oh, indeed. Indeed.
Now, the gentleman I was talking about, just so folks will know who I'm talking about when I mentioned the ICE incident, and so I just found the article. That's what I was looking for. There it says, Durham leaders, including our own mayor, are calling for the release of Samuel Oliver Bruno, who was arrested by immigration officials when he left the sanctuary at Durham's church last Friday. Oliver Bruno was being held in Georgia until Thursday morning when he was moved to an undisclosed location. And it is now my understanding that he is all the way back in Mexico, where he was, I believe, originally from. But members of the Durham City Council, county commissioners, and the Board of Education joined faith and community leaders at a news conference this past Thursday in protest of Oliver Bruno's arrest and detainment. And Durham Council Member Javario Cabo